Good evening, Brisbane time. Welcome to Christianity Out Loud's weekly word. My name is Steve, and, well, what happened over the weekend, the last few days? We had the 21st anniversary of the September 11 terrorist attacks in New York, of which regular people have been compared to. Funny that. And the Queen passed away, aged 96, if I'm not mistaken. And agree or disagree with them, my favourite political party, the Greens, just couldn't let it go 24 hours without making all sorts of comments. So, have a bit of a chat about those two things tonight. Firstly, looking at 9/11, or the anniversary of, and say what you want, agree what you want, agree or disagree, but the loss of innocent life, I think, is probably what needs to be reflected on at the moment. For all of the objections you may have with American foreign policy, sitting here as an Australian, I don't profess to be anywhere near an expert on American foreign policy. In fact, it's probably far more the other end of the scale. Not an expert, but the other end. Whatever you think about all of that, there are people who went to work that day and they expected to go home. Their families expected them to go home. Fire, ambulance, police, other first responders didn't expect to deal with something of that magnitude when they went to work. And their families, albeit well aware of the inherent risk that those jobs entailed, they come with, also would have expected them to go home that night. So, putting all other feelings aside, nearly 3,000 people or thereabouts passed away that day, having left their homes that morning, and would have fully expected to return back to their homes, to their families that night. So the loss of innocent life, I think that can be reflected upon. We can remember those people and those families, and again, agree or disagree with the aftermath, really, that we are still experiencing to some degree today. Agree or disagree with that, still has nothing to do with those nearly 3,000 people who didn't return that day. So, say a prayer for them and their families as they, it's not September 11th now, but regardless, it's September 13th here in Australia. It's only a few days past. Those families would still be dealing with all of those emotions, all of those feelings. I don't think, if ever an event like that occurred, I don't know how you really get over that. I mean, you can move on. We do have the strength of the Lord on our side. We can lean on Him, but still, I think an event of that magnitude would always bring just a little bit more emotion. And had we lost someone in, I'll say, a conventional manner, I'll leave it at that. But the interesting thing about the US at the moment being that there's some elections to come soon, and that'd be November primaries, and it's been very interesting to read the sort of rhetoric hyperbolic rhetoric from a particular side of the political spectrum. 3 guesses which one. Jumping up and down and calling just about everybody who was on the other side. You've seen this language, increase over the past few months, calling everybody on the other side, the same as those terrorists, which, I don't know where you end up if you just keep going down that level of hyperbole, that level of language, that level of vitriol. I don't know where you stop. It's sort of just a spiral that goes down and down and down, never-ending spiral, really. So, have a think about that too, and for the stability of, more than just the US, but the stability of, other countries as well. Maybe pray that the right outcome could occur there. So, moving on to home, or Australia, or England, depending. And the Queen of England passes away at 96 years of age. Now, full disclosure, I am what you would term a Republican here in Australia. I firmly believe we should not be part of the Commonwealth. I don't see the point. I've never seen the point. We did have a referendum many, many, many years ago in which I did vote. I think I was just able to vote then, legally here. I did vote yes in that referendum, should we become a republic. But the no team sort of collectively got in and squirreled around and confused the issue, and the people who were for it really didn't mount a very good case at all. So, full disclosure, that is where I am coming from, and I've not really had a moment of grief in the sense that my esteemed leader is no longer with me. Obviously, I feel for the family, as anyone would, the matriarch really, who was left of the family, and leaves quite a legacy. So, a lady of the utmost Christian faith, apparently. So, there was that. And I was looking at a bit of the history, and she reigned for something like 70 years, and the first Prime Minister that she counselled, not cancelled, counselled, as in worked with, was actually Winston Churchill, who then went on to defeat Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party of Germany. Way, way, way back. So, just goes to show how long she was seated on the throne, literally. But my reasons for not liking a monarchy and believing we should be a republic really have to do with merit and faith. And I'll get to the faith bit in a minute, because there was an interesting phrasing in an article, but I'll get to that in a minute. I read today, might have been yesterday, doesn't matter, I read that gotta call him King Charles, has now inherited a fortune of something like $32 billion. $32 billion. Now, the only reason he has that much privilege, or that amount of wealth, or that position of authority, is because he was born into it. He wasn't elected to that position, he was born into it. And that's really where my issue arises, is that someone like Meghan Markle, who married into that amount of privilege, who was also very wealthy prior to her marriage to Prince Harry, then sits and complains about oppression. And I just go, do you people live in reality? And it's obvious to me that they don't, because if I married into that much wealth and privilege, and my children were born into that much wealth and privilege, I certainly wouldn't complain about feeling oppressed, because I'll have the title for half. Let's go. I'll have the title and I'll have half. That'll do me. I'm not greedy. I read an article that proclaimed King Charles as the sovereign king. And it was those two words that just made me go, let's just hold on a minute. Just a minute. Sovereign king. Of course, being Christianity out loud, being a devout Christian, having written and published a book about the I am statements in the Gospel of John. Go and buy it. I went to the Bible and went, I'm sure I've read those two words, sovereign king, somewhere before. But to draw your attention to 1 Timothy chapter 6. And this is in the chapter about false teachers, true contentment, just reading off the screen here, fight the good fight of faith. But as for you, O man, flee these things, pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, steadfastness, gentleness, etc. And I got down to verse 15, which is an interesting spot for a verse break, being that it's in the middle of the sentence. There's quite a bit of that in Timothy 6, 1 Timothy 6. Get that right. But 15, which he will display at the proper time, he who is the blessed and only sovereign, the King of kings and Lord of lords, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light. I wonder who these talking about. He who is the blessed and only sovereign, the King of kings and Lord of lords. To him be the honour and eternal dominion. Amen. I don't disagree with the Greens. You can hold the phone. I'll repeat that because it's about once every blue moon I say that. I don't disagree with the Greens. I don't disagree with Adam Bandt's sentiment. I think if ever there was a time to move into Australia being a republic without a figurehead head of state, let's be honest, they play no real role. Charles will play no real role in our governance, so why have him there? Because he plays no real role, so why remove him? Because he plays no role. It's superfluous. Just don't have it. Anyway, I digress. If ever there was a time to revisit that, the passing of Queen Elizabeth was probably the time. Is probably the time. And it would have been nice, though, if Adam Bandt and the Greens could have displayed the decorum, the etiquette, the respect, I guess, that you would expect from, the leader of a political party. But no. And basically the day of the Queen's passing, he's posting, well, how sad that she's gone, but now let's move on. Time for a republic, time to remove them. And you sort of just go, any chance you could give it, 24 hours, Adam, before you post that? Could you let the people who wish to mourn? Could you let the people who wish to feel sad? And could you stop turning everything, at least within the first 10 minutes of it happening, into some political disagreement, as you and your political party must do for just about everything? And it's been very interesting to read some of, again, that group of people's posts to various social medias, and the Queen presided, apparently according to them, over ruthless and tyrannical regimes, and you don't have much of an idea of history, because when Australia was so-called settled, I'll use that term as in when, after the English had sent all of us convicts on the boats over, by the time we turned up, it was in the 1700s. So that was done not under Queen Elizabeth. Not Queen Elizabeth II, anyway. So, just some factual historic understanding would have been nice, but possibly too much to expect from that political party. So what do we do? If we don't move on, we don't have another referendum, if we don't become a republic, am I going to lose any sleep over it? No, I'm not. Will I acknowledge King Charles the Third? I think he will be King Charles III as my sovereign king. No, I won't. Why not? I just read it to you. He who is the only blessed and he who is the blessed and only sovereign, King of kings and Lord of lords. I already got my sovereign king. I can't have two. So I don't intend to worship two. I only intend to keep worshipping, having faith in one. But you do you, and I will do me. And that is the beauty of freedom of speech and freedom of thought. So not until next week, or the week after, because I have some renovations to do here and will not be able to record for the next 2 weeks. So, until then, like, subscribe, share if you like. All of those things. And until I speak with you again, God bless.